James Swanwick is an Australian American stop drinking expert, author, investor, entrepreneur, and former Sports Center anchor on ESPN. He is the creator of Stop Drinking organization, Alcohol Free Lifestyle, which helps business owners and executives finally break free from alcohol without AA, rehab, or willpower. The host of the podcast, Alcohol Free Lifestyle, and author of newly released book, Clear, the only neuroscience based method for high achievers to finally break free from alcohol. In his former career as a journalist, Swanwick interviewed celebrities including Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Kobe Bryant, David Beckham, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am so excited for y'all to get your copy of Clear today. It is absolutely incredible. And I've interviewed James before, but today I'm so excited we get to go deeper. James, thank you so much for coming in.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. What made you decide to write the book?
I've been alcohol free since 2010, and I've been coaching mostly high achieving middle aged folks to stop drinking alcohol in a really fun way since 2015. So that's 10 years I've been coaching folks, and I got a lot of requests from people. Can you put it all into a book? I mean, I've done hundreds of podcast episodes. I have my own podcast, which is called Alcohol Free Lifestyle, and the YouTube channel. But there was something about really putting it into a book. It was really the culmination of my 15 years of experience being alcohol free and my 10 years of experience coaching executives, CEOs, business owners, attorneys, doctors, physicians, chiropractors, retirees, real estate investors, coaching them to live an alcohol-free lifestyle and just putting it into a palatable book, and then an audio book as well for those who can put up with my Australian accent for 8 hours or 4 hours on double speed.
That's what is great about having the audiobook too. So for me, like I started out with the audiobook, went through the book so I could use it as a guide because there's a lot of great insights at the end of each chapter. So there's so many ways y'all can listen. And this is specifically for those high achievers. Why do you think they get caught in this cycle of drinking every single day and not even realizing that it's a problem?
High achieving people are also highly stressed people, and also they're going a million miles an hour. I don't know about you, but at times in my life, I felt like a headless chicken running around in circles, not really having a clear vision, but mistaking action for progress.
Mm.
High achievers are like that. And the challenge with that is we get drained very easily, especially if you are a mom or a dad and you've got young children and you're trying to balance being a parent, trying to balance being a lover to your partner, husband or wife, trying to be a leader, either in your organization, maybe you have people reporting to you, and you're reporting to other people. Maybe you're a business owner and you have staff and you try to think about strategy. And, you know, we had a neuroscientist come on one of our coaching calls with our stop drinking clients recently. His name's Dr. Sean Watson. And he was saying that we make about 30,000 decisions a day. And that decision fatigue can really drain us. High performers, all of those decisions, all of those choices, all of those distractions in many cases leave us drained. Many of us for years have been reaching for a glass of wine or a vodka or a beer to try to relieve ourselves, at least temporarily, of that stress and anxiety. And alcohol has served a purpose. I mean, it does give us almost instant relief, but it is temporary. And that relief, although it numbs us out for a little while, ultimately that is going to create much of the stress and anxiety that we're drinking alcohol to try to relieve. So we get stuck in this vicious cycle. So it makes sense that as decision makers, as high performers, we're reaching for something to numb our pain. But unfortunately, choosing alcohol can have dire consequences.
Mhm. And something I thought was very interesting. You talked about willpower isn't necessary to quit drinking. How does behavioral science replace willpower in your method? Can that be replicated for other addictive patterns?
It can be replicated for other addictive patterns. So the same process that we walk through our stop drinking clients can be used in anything, whether it be shopping addiction, porn addiction, love addiction, work addiction. The same neuroscience can be used to support someone with an addiction different to alcohol. My area of expertise really is going deep in alcohol.
Yeah.
Willpower is finite. It runs out. And a lot of us are trying things like dry January, sober October. We're doing these 30-day challenges and we're using willpower to try to get through. Now, the challenge with that is we feel like a prisoner when we're using willpower. What do all prisoners want to do? They want to get out of prison. Even if we get to 30 days alcohol free successfully, how do we celebrate? We have a drink and continue, I'm sorry, to perpetuate this idea that alcohol equals relief and not drinking alcohol equals deprivation or pain. In some ways, I'm experiencing this at the moment. Right now, I'm actually in a cut phase, and the cut phase is I'm losing about 25 pounds of visceral fat. And I'm already pretty healthy, but I've just decided to go for like a six-pack abs for the first time before 50 when I turned 50 on September 7. And I thought, let's just, as a fun experiment, get a six-pack and take a photo of me shirtless and see how it looks. So I'm cutting 20, 25 pounds. And I'm already experiencing what it feels like to be in a prison and using willpower. Like I'm having a 1,500 caloric, you know, top each day. 1,500 calories isn't a lot for a man. And, I'm all experiencing that. I got hunger pains and I'm like, oh man, I'm really depriving myself here. I really want to break out of this deprivation by eating more food, quantity of food, or I'm really craving like a packet of crisps or an ice cream or something like that. Challenge going through this is to rewire my mindset around this is a fun exercise. Like I get to do this. I get to
Mhm.
enjoy the experience of having my body feel lighter and get to that vision of having the six-pack abs and the photo on my 50th birthday. And so I'm rewiring my mindset around this and using the same tools that we coach our clients with. If we're doing this willpower thing consistently over many months and years, we're going to get stuck on this stop-start cycle. So we're going to be successful for a little while, but then we're going to go back to old habits. We'll be successful for a little while, and then we'll go back to old habits. What I'm trying to teach here with neuroscience is how do we create a lifestyle
Mm.
of being alcohol free? How do we rewire your mindset so you get to be alcohol free? You love alcohol free, and this is a multi-year, multi-decade lifestyle, not being sober or needing to stop.
Mm. Like that brings me to this other topic that you talked about, and it was that the different categories of people that drink. I fell under the I only drink occasionally category, but still I could see how it can become toxic. How do you approach that gray area with your clients and with people, honestly, that are on this almost sober journey?
Depending on what motivates them, I will ask them some questions. So, for example, let's talk about relationships, then health and money.
Mm.
So, relationships, what I highlight is that even one or two seemingly innocent drinks a day could be compromising your relationship with your children.
Mhm.
Are you really being the best role model for your children? your son or daughter is watching you drink alcohol, they are going to model that behavior later in life.
Okay.
Now, if they're already adult children, maybe they've seen mum or dad drink alcohol and be irritable and stressed and anxious because of the alcohol. And now they're not really that motivated to spend as much time with you. Maybe they're not as present with you because you haven't been as present with them growing up, in part because of your drinking habits. I
Mm.
see this a lot. People come into our 90-day stop drinking program, Project 90. They come to us and I say, why are you doing this? And yeah, they want to stop drinking alcohol. But I'm like, why do you want to stop drinking alcohol? And they'll share with me because I haven't been a great role model for my kids. My kids don't really want to spend as much time with me as I would like.
Mm.
I'm always reaching out to them. They're not reaching out to me. I have to like fight for their attention. And I realized that it's because my drinking habits led me to be irritable and stressed and argumentative and hostile and combative with them over the years. So that's one thing. When it comes to health, one seemingly innocent drink per day is enough to cause some level of brain degeneration. There was a study out of the UK in 2022 of 36,000 middle-aged Brits. And what it showed was that one drink a night caused gray and white matter degeneration in the brain. That should be shocking to most people. Now, that shows up with being foggy, distracted, an inability to be able to focus for any great length of time. You
Mm.
snap at your children, you argue with your husband or your wife. Just one drink a day is enough to cause that. And so people realize that, they go, oh, wow, okay, my drinking, I thought it was not that bad, but you know what? Wow, this is showing up in
Yeah.
my life. And then if we talk about finances, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you're making, let's call it for argument's sake, $500,000 a year in revenue, and you're feeling like a 6 out of 10, imagine how much money you might generate in your business if you were consistently alcohol free and feeling like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Most people say they could double their revenue if they were consistently alcohol free. Well, in this scenario, if you double your $500,000 annual revenue, that's $500,000 additional revenue, which means your drinking habits are costing you $500,000 every single year. But most people go, oh, I'm only spending a few $1,000s on alcohol each year. That's interesting to me, but not nearly as interesting as how much money are you not generating and not making because of your drinking habits. Now, if I pull out my calculator here, in this hypothetical, we go $500,000 divided by 365 days of the year. Every day that entrepreneur chooses to drink is costing him or her $1,369 every day. And if that entrepreneur claims that he or she is having 2 drinks a day, if we divide that number by 2, every drink he or she chooses to consume is costing them $684.93.
Mhm. That's
So
insane.
yeah. So
Right?
that's where all of a sudden the penny drops and people start going, "Oh, wow, actually, my drinking is costing me $500,000 a year. My drinking is costing me my marriage. My drinking is costing me my relationship with my children."
Mm.
That's how you get someone who's a gray area drinker to finally have their eyes open and take action and go through the process of how to become alcohol free.
That's amazing. And there are also ways I know that some people are like, well, I want something in my hand, but now they have all those mocktails or healthier style sparkling waters that you can have. It's a better thing to have when we are at a festival because you're getting dehydrated and alcohol is just making you feel worse at a festival. My husband and I were just at Electric Forest for his art installation, and that was the number one thing I noticed. I was seeing all these booths now that were alcohol free, and it was really great to see. So I'm glad that they're taking steps in that direction as well. Regarding identity detachment, that was something while I was reading, it really was almost triggering. You talk about breaking up with the alcohol identity. What did detaching from your own identity as a social drinker reveal to you about ego and self perception?
What feels very challenging for people about the idea of never drinking again is that it threatens our identity. Because if you've always been Sarah the host, Sarah the entertainer, or Sarah the good time girl, or Sarah the party girl, or Sarah the person who gets her girlfriends together on a Sunday and they have a couple of drinks and that's fun. The idea of never drinking again really threatens that identity of Sarah, because who will Sarah alcohol free be compared to Sarah the drinker currently?
Mm.
And so a lot of people really find that very challenging. And of course, I understand that. I remember growing up in Australia, I was just a socially acceptable drinker. And I was James the drinker, James who'd go to a backyard barbecue on a Sunday and have a few drinks. And I was James who would accept an invitation from a friend to go and have a few drinks. And I was also James who would throw a party and invite people to come. And I was the one who was offering the drinks.
Mhm.
That's who I was. And that was my identity. Later on, when I moved to the United States in the early 2000s, I joined the Los Angeles Rugby Club. At the end of a Saturday game, we'd all go back to the clubhouse bar, which was called Sharky's in Manhattan Beach, California. It was about 40-minute drive south of Los Angeles airport. And we'd all have a few drinks. And I was James, the crazy larrikin Australian who would chug beer in Sharky's Manhattan Beach a couple of hours after each Saturday afternoon game. And the American teammates of mine loved it. They were like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy, James. He's a crazy Australian. He like drinks beer out of a rugby boot. Oh, he chugs beer." Oh. And that was my identity. I loved it. And my American friends loved it. I loved it. They lapped it up. "Oh, you got to meet this Aussie great guy, big drinker." So that was my identity. And I loved it until I didn't love it, because
Mhm.
doing that for a few years took its toll, and I put on 30 pounds and I was irritable, I was sleeping well, envious of other people, and it was stressful. So I get it. There's this threat to our identity, and especially if our identity has been that way for decades, suddenly it's like, well, who am I going to be if I'm not the larrikin Australian drinking guy? I'm just going to be James. What I coach people through is that Sarah, the alcohol-free person, is infinitely better than Sarah the drinker, and that Sarah can still be Sarah the good time girl and Sarah the host and Sarah the friend without drinking, and James can be the larrikin without drinking, and James can be the good time party guy without drinking. We can experience life while living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
After quitting alcohol, many people experience like this surge of creative energy. I know when I did the dry January thing, I noticed I had all this creative energy. It sparked so much. How do you continue that with the alcohol free lifestyle to help clients channel that energy into something meaningful?
When you become alcohol-free, when you become clear of the effects of alcohol, and the name of my book is Clear for that purpose, right? People who experience clarity, they get clear. When you experience that clear, at least I generated more creativity. Our clients at Project 90 tell us that they generate more creativity. They take up painting, or they take up a business, they start a business. If they have an existing business, it becomes clearer as to how to generate more revenue and to get more clients and to get more customers and to raise prices and create more impact
Mm.
in your world. Now, in the beginning, when someone's gotten clear of alcohol, maybe in the first few weeks, maybe they feel a little irritable because this is a newfound kind of concept here. Like, this is a new experience. With each passing month, now we're sleeping better.
Yeah.
We're not as distracted. We're not as foggy. We're more relaxed. We're repairing. We're getting clearer. Hence the name of the book, Clear. It's incredible. The quality of our decisions and choices becomes so much better, which leads itself into a beautiful creative environment. Now we have enthusiastic productivity, not just running around like a headless chicken. Now we have a vision, a goal, and we're running enthusiastically towards it. When we're drinking and we're foggy and irritable, running enthusiastically in the wrong direction is stupid. When we're clear, running enthusiastically in an empowering direction is fantastic, is
Yeah.
transformative, is impactful. So again, I guess I would say I get that it feels scary to
Mhm.
step into this new way of being, but creativity is harnessed and channeled and fostered when we are consistently alcohol free.
Yeah. What made you decide to create a program based off of having this 90-day shift?
When I quit alcohol in 2010, the changes in me were immediate. I lost 13 pounds in 30 days. I started sleeping better. My skin cleared up. Just a warning, you do get better looking when you quit alcohol.
Mhm.
The quality of my relationships improved. I started generating a much higher caliber of person into my life.
Mhm.
Simultaneously, I was living in Los Angeles, California at the time, and I got invited to all these hedonistic Hollywood parties. Golden Globes after party, Oscars after party, MTV Movie Awards, the Grammy. I mean, there are all these big parties going on all the time. So I would go to these Hollywood Hills parties where there were open bars and people dancing on tables and music and things like that. And I was alcohol free and I had a wonderful time. And between 2010 and 2015, I noticed a pattern. And the pattern was people who would see me on this party circuit would be so curious and perplexed as to how I was having such a fabulous time and being so sociable while also being alcohol free. And so people would ask me, how are you alcohol free? How are you going to the Playboy Mansion, not drinking alcohol and not partaking in drugs, but you seem like you're having a great time? How are you going to the Golden Globes and Oscars where there's an open bar and you're not drinking alcohol? And I said, I don't know. I'm just alcohol free and loving it. That's where the idea came to me. Maybe I could coach people and help people to live an alcohol free lifestyle, but love living an alcohol free lifestyle, not being sober or having to retreat from Golden Globes and Oscars parties and avoid them, but rather run towards them feeling confident in your choice to be alcohol free. So in 2015, I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I started this organization, Alcohol Free Lifestyle. It's been going for 10 years now. It started off as a very small, modest 30-day challenge to help people kind of dip their toe in the water. And it's transformed today to be an organization where we enroll hundreds of high achieving executives and entrepreneurs, mothers and fathers, mostly in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, into this 90-day stop drinking coaching program where we help them rewire their mindset around alcohol. And 90 days really is the amount of time that I have seen anecdotally that it takes to rewire someone's mindset. 30 days, it's kind of like a challenge and you're doing deprivation. 60 days, you've got some momentum, but it hasn't quite stuck. 90 days is where you can get to day 90 and then you can powerfully choose what you want to do from there. At 90 days, you now have power over alcohol and
Mhm.
your choices versus alcohol having power over you. So that's kind of like how the organization came to be. It was really 5 years of me being alcohol free, creating an organization, polishing this coaching over the last decade. And now today, we're at the forefront of this movement, this cultural shift that you may have witnessed that's going on, Sarah, where people are now increasingly adopting an alcohol-free lifestyle without it meaning that they're an alcoholic, without it meaning that they're shamed. And they're now just choosing this as a lifestyle.
Notice that a lot of the younger generation is not buying drinks at bars. They're choosing either a mocktail or they're choosing just water. It's been interesting because also I played the piano at bars. So to see a different kind of crowd now coming to shows has been fun because they're actually enjoying and listening to the music versus before they're shouting and being aggressive. So it's been interesting as a performer to watch that too. Curious as to why you think the newer generation is choosing to be alcohol free.
My hypothesis is that there's now greater access to quality education and information about the negative consequences of alcohol. Maybe
Mhm.
that's from social media. Maybe it's from folks like myself. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just the ability to go onto Google on the internet and research it. So I think now we have greater access to education. Also, I think increasingly the younger generation is now seeing the consequences of their parents and grandparents and their drinking. And now we've got this link that alcohol is linked to 7 different cancers and that it's been linked to all kinds of behavioral issues and challenges. And so now it's that kind of awareness that, oh, actually, maybe we should question this. And so we've also seen a lot of communities pop up now, these alcohol-free communities. In my native country of Australia, for example, they have these sunrise parties where people come together and it's drug-free, it's alcohol-free, and they watch the sunrise, have DJs dance, and then go for a swim in the ocean on Bondi Beach. Then they go for a run, and people are now increasingly socializing during daylight hours versus nighttime hours because people are now realizing that they can get this human connection from going on a morning hike, run, or doing group exercise together. It's become this more socially acceptable activity. And when you can get your social connection from daytime exercise and connection, then this need to meet the opposite sex or to meet the same sex and to make friends and allies, it's not needed at nighttime over drinking poison. There's definitely a huge increase now in people participating in alcohol-free activities and
Mhm.
a decrease in people's willingness to participate in alcohol-fueled activities.
So with all that being said, there's still a lot of social pressure, right? Especially for high achievers, get that deal, go on the course and drink a lot of beers. I live in Florida. And that is something that I see a lot of, like, let's make the deal on the course. So for those people that need to grab your copy of your book, but are struggling to keep to this social pressure, what do you recommend them doing as their first step?
Well, there's a couple things there. First things first, I would do a review of your existing social circle. Do your friends and acquaintances and allies support a healthy lifestyle, or are they still fostering an alcohol fueled lifestyle? Because your peer group matters.
Mhm.
There's a phrase that says you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your 5 friends are all big drinkers and your drinking is holding you back and you've identified that, are that or is that social circle going to continue to nurture and support you? It's like the stock take. Are my habits currently serving me? And if they're not, you can articulate to your social group, you know what? I'm going alcohol free. I'm making this choice. Who wants to be in it with me? Anyone else want to do it with me? And if they say, come on, what are you talking about? Just have one. You're fine. It's not like you're an alcoholic or anything. Then you give them an opportunity to change that thinking by saying, look, I'm going to go alcohol free. I'd really love your support. I still want to hang out. You'll be drinking. I won't. I just request that you don't encourage me to drink. Just support my choice. And if they're very supportive of that, then you don't have to cut your friends. But if they're resisting that and they're pushing back on that, I would submit maybe it's time to make new friends. Even if you don't cut those existing friends, how can you make new friends who are either completely alcohol free or they don't need alcohol in order to engage? An example of that is what we've already spoken about. Can you join a group of people who go on morning hikes, who
Mm.
are doing group exercise, like group activities, daytime, mornings, things like that that don't require alcohol? And it's amazing once you start tapping into those groups, alcohol ceases to be an issue. The invitations that come to you will tend to be morning exercise or lunch times. And even if they're nighttime activities, you'll attend and you'll notice that drinking either isn't present or it's only very marginally present. The other thing is when you go into a social situation not drinking, most people will apologize for not drinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I wish I could drink, but I just can't. I'm doing this 90-day stop drinking process, and we'll start like apologizing. I'm like,
Mhm.
why are you apologizing? The moment that you do that, you are now telling yourself and the people you're telling it to that not drinking equals boredom and dull, and drinking equals fun and joy and connection. I submit it's the other way around. Being alcohol free is the joy and the connection and the special occasion, and drinking is the boredom and the deprivation of joy. So even if you are an introverted person, go into any social situation just being lighthearted about the fact that you're not drinking. Just go, yeah, I'm alcohol free. I'm doing this 90-day thing. I'm 6 months alcohol free. I'm going to get drunk on this soda water. Watch out. I'll go shot for shot with you. For every vodka shot, tequila shot you have, I'll drink a shot of soda water, because
Yeah.
most people don't care if you're not drinking. They just care if you're fun and pleasant to be around.
Yeah. So true. That's a really good point. What is the biggest lesson you've learned from writing clear for yourself?
I think the biggest lesson I learned was that it's still shocking to me how many people are unaware that even modest amounts of alcohol can cause such negative consequences in their life, and that many of us are still unaware of the consequences. Either we're unaware or we're aware, we're just trying to like avoid it and push the can down the road.
Hmm.
Like, there is an estimated 400 million adults in the world who are experiencing an alcohol use disorder. 400 million people of 6 million adults. So that's about 8%, somewhere around there. 8% of the world's drinking population experience an alcohol use disorder. Do you know what a huge percentage that is? That is monstrous. 400 million people in the world experiencing an alcohol use disorder. That is insanity. And I would submit 90% of them don't even know that they qualified to have an alcohol use disorder,
Hmm.
right? They just go, oh, yeah, I'm just drinking the way I do. It's no big deal, blah, 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 blah. So, what was surprising to me about writing the book in my research was just how unaware we are about the consequences of alcohol.
Yeah.
The other thing that was surprising is just how much big alcohol and the alcohol industry manipulates us into continuing to drink their poisonous product. I mean, I see it in the Super Bowl commercials. It's fun, it's playful, it's high production quality. They're fantastic, very funny, but that's manipulation. They're trying to manipulate you into drinking their product.
Yeah.
And so the degree with which alcohol tries to keep you addicted to drinking alcohol and tries to get the association of alcohol equals good times was quite shocking to me in my research.
It is unbelievable. And to think also all the movies that have, I know you talked about this on your Instagram, all the movies that have drug and alcohol in there, and we're watching it and it's easy to consume. We keep watching it and we want to be like that, or like subconsciously. Not saying we're going out and going to these parties necessarily, but watching that makes us be like, oh, he's so cool, or I want to be just like her. It's interesting. We're always getting fed that.
Well, let me call out three celebrities: George Clooney, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. All three of them are peddling poison. Matthew McConaughey, let's add Matthew McConaughey. They're all peddling their version of poison. George Clooney and The Rock have got tequila. Ryan Reynolds has gin. Matthew McConaughey has whiskey. And they're all smiling in their billboards. and in their commercials and making fun and kind of lightheartedness and being cool and whatever. But I don't think history is going to be kind to them in this regard, because we look back on cigarettes now. We look back at the 1950s and 60s TV commercials where they had doctors promoting Camel cigarettes and Winston cigarettes, wearing lab coats while smoking and saying, Camel cigarettes, the cigarette preferred by doctors. And
Yep.
we look back at that and we go, what were we thinking? Well, I think in 30 years, we're going to look back and think, what were we thinking about celebrating this alcohol poison? Crazy.
Now, I asked you this question before on our last episode, but I'm always fascinated by how it changes or how we're feeling today. And the question is, how has stress saved your life?
How has stress saved my life?
Mhm.
I would say stress has inspired me to get coaching. So I'm married, I have a lovely wife, and the stress of some of our poor communication, or let's call it ineffective communication, as every couple goes through, inspired me to hire a relationship coach who's been profoundly and positively impactful for our relationship. The stress of feeling tired and irritable with my body and carrying extra pounds led me to hiring a personal trainer in the gym. That consistency and that accountability has helped me generate the body that I think nature intended me to have. And I think the stress of feeling overwhelmed and having too many things to do in my business led me to a path of being able to learn how to delegate and hire and automate and eliminate. And now my life is much smoother. So stress can be a good thing. I mean, when I go to the gym, I'm putting stress on my bicep when I'm doing a bicep curl, because I know that the breaking down of that fibers and the introduction of stress is going to help my bicep come back stronger the next day. So stress can be utilized. Stress can be a good thing. Stress has really led me down a path of getting coaches and advisors who are smarter than me. And then I adjust. I'm held accountable to those adjustments. And now my life gets simpler and easier.
Good answer. Good perspective. And I'm so appreciative of you coming in again and doing this with us. I know that the listeners are going to absolutely love it. I got so much wonderful feedback the first time around. So this is going to be great. And everyone, once again, please purchase your copy of Clear. It's fantastic. And get the Audible too. So you have different ways to listen and read. Thank you again, James. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
Where can people connect with you?
Alcoholfreelifestyle.com is where you can find all of our services. If you'd like to get your hands on the book, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/clear, or you could just search for it on Amazon. It's available on Audible as well. And then I'm on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media, which is just my name, at James Swanwick.
Awesome. And please share your takeaways with all of us. Go connect with James. And as always, remember to speak well to yourself on this self love journey. Take care.